The hand-painted cardboard sign said, "Lemonade $1. Please help my sister." The words were written in uneven crayon letters that shook slightly across the poster board. Behind the small folding table stood a 6-year-old boy, baking in the July heat. He had been standing outside Throttle's Roadhouse for nearly 3 hours before A1 finally stopped, to wonder why a child was selling drinks outside a biker bar, instead of on a quiet suburban street. When the Iron Sentinels motorcycle club finally noticed the small boy slowly wilting under the afternoon sun, when they took the time to read the full message written in a child's desperate handwriting on the back of that sign, they made a series of phone calls that would soon bring motorcycle clubs from over 100 miles away into this small Kentucky town. What happened next would shut down traffic, draw news helicopters, and prove that sometimes the strongest force in the world is a group of strangers who refuse to let a child fight alone. The heat rising from the asphalt outside Throttle's Roadhouse in Harlem, Kentucky, was intense enough to cook food. It was the kind of heavy July heat that made the air shimmer and turned every breath into effort. 6-year-old Ethan Crowder stood behind a card table that nearly reached his chest. A plastic pitcher of lemonade sat sweating in the sun. Beside it was a stack of paper cups taken from his school cafeteria and a small metal cap box that held exactly $3.75 after 3 long hours of selling. His blonde hair was stuck to his forehead with sweat. His Superman t-shirt had a dark stain where he had spilled lemonade on himself. His sneakers were 2 sizes too big, hand-me-downs from a cousin who had outgrown them last year. But none of that mattered to Ethan. Every single dollar he earned brought him one step closer to the number the doctors had given his mother: $73,000. That was how much his 8-year-old sister Lily needed for surgery, if she was going to live past her next birthday. Throttle's Roadhouse was not the kind of place most parents would allow their 6-year-old to set up a lemonade stand. It was a low cinder block building with dark windows and a gravel parking lot always packed with Harleys and custom bikes. It was a place where rough men drank strong liquor and loud music shook nearby houses late into the night. Ethan's mother had warned him to stay away from it. She had always crossed the street when they walked past and explained that some places were not meant for children. But Ethan had done the math with the careful logic of a first grader who loved numbers. In his neighborhood, he might get 1 customer an hour. At the biker bar, there were always people, and people were what he needed. So that morning, before his mother woke up, Ethan dragged his car table 6 blocks from home, set up his stand, and started selling. The Iron Sentinels had been inside Throttle's for about 2 hours. 8 riders traveling down from Ohio, stopping for food and cold beer before heading toward Tennessee. They were the kind of club other riders respected. Men who had seen war, prison, and hard lives. Men who wore their scars quietly and their patches with pride. Rex Hammer Davidson, the club's president, was 53 years old, with a long gray beard and hands that had broken more bones than he could remember. But he had also spent the last 10 Christmases delivering toys to a children's hospital in Cincinnati. His sense of right and wrong was stronger than most. Hammer was the first to notice the boy through the front window. The child hadn't moved since they arrived, except to pour lemonade or wipe sweat from his face with his shirt. That kid been out there the whole time? Hammer asked Throttle, the bar's owner, a man who had lost his left leg in Desert Storm and now ran the only place in Harlem where bikers truly felt welcome. Throttle glanced outside and nodded. Since about 11. I told him he should move along, but he asked so politely if he could stay. Said he wasn't bothering anyone. I figured he'd leave when the heat got bad. Kid's stubborn. Hammer studied the boy more closely. He noticed how straight the child stood despite being clearly exhausted. He saw how carefully everything was arranged. And then he noticed writing on the back of the cardboard sign. Something about it felt wrong, not dangerous, but heavy. Like there was a story waiting to be told. Come on, Hammer said to Bishop, his road captain of 15 years. Let's see what this kid's story is. They stepped into the brutal heat and walked toward the stand. Ethan's face lit up with desperate hope. Lemonade? He asked, his voice dry and shaky. Just $1. I made it myself with real lemons and lots of sugar. His hands trembled as he lifted the pitcher. Hammer pulled out his wallet and handed him a $5 bill. 1 cup. Keep the change. Ethan's eyes went wide. That's too much. It's only $1. Tip for good service, Hammer said, drinking the lemonade, even though it was far too sweet and warm. What's your name, son? Ethan Crowder. I'm 6 3/4. That's very exact, Bishop said, kneeling to his level. So why's a kid your age selling lemonade outside a biker bar? Ethan hesitated, then spoke fast, like he'd been holding the words in for too long. I'm raising money for my sister. She needs an operation or she'll die. My mama cries every night. I thought if I sold lemonade, maybe I could help. Hammer felt something crack inside his chest. What's wrong with her? He asked gently. Ethan blinked back tears. She has dilated cardiomyopathy. Her heart doesn't work right. She needs a transplant. It costs $73,000. He said each word carefully, like he had practiced. Mama works 2 jobs. Lily gets tired a lot. Mama said we might lose our house. I just want my sister to be okay. Hammer looked at Bishop. They both knew $73,000 felt impossible. Can I see your sign? Hammer asked. Ethan turned it around. On the back was a message written slowly and carefully. My sister Lily is 8. She has a bad heart. She needs a new one or she will die. It costs $73,000. My mama cries every night. Please help. Every dollar helps. Below it, in purple crayon, Lily had added her own words. My brother Ethan is brave and kind. Please help him. Help me. I want to grow up. Hammer read it twice, then made a call. Within minutes, bikers began arriving. Wallets opened. Phones rang. Calls went out across the state. Within an hour, more than 60 motorcycles filled the lot. By afternoon, traffic stopped. News cameras arrived. And hope began to grow, because when enough people decide a child shouldn't fight alone, miracles happened at them stretched a long parade of chrome and leather, the Iron Sentinels, the Road Kings, the Thunder Guard, the Steel Riders, dozens of other clubs, and hundreds of independent riders who had come because they heard about a small boy who needed help. They rode slowly at 15 miles per hour, engines roaring loud enough to shake the streets. People stepped out of their homes and businesses to watch. Some waved. Some cried, because it had been a long time since Holland had witnessed something purely good, something that wasn't about coal mines shutting down, or empty jobs, or the opioid crisis that had torn through Appalachia. This was about hope. About community, about what happens when people decide that a child's life matters more than comfort or convenience. The Crowder house was a small rental with peeling paint and a chain-link fence. Jennifer Crowder stood in the front yard, panicked and searching for her son. He had been gone all day, and she was just moments away from calling the police when she heard the sound. It began as a distant rumble, like thunder far away. Then it grew louder and louder, until the entire street shook as nearly 300 motorcycles turned onto Maple Street in perfect formation. Jennifer covered her mouth when she saw Ethan riding on the lead bike. She saw him waving at her, his face glowing with pure joy. Behind him stretched a river of bikers that seemed endless. The procession stopped in front of her home, engine still rumbling as Hammer helped Ethan down and walked him toward his mother. Ethan was crying now. Happy tears mixed with exhaustion as he lifted the overflowing cash box. Mama, he said through tears, I sold lemonade and these people helped me. We have money for Lily. Now, we have so much money. Jennifer dropped to her knee and pulled her son into her arms, sobbing so hard she couldn't speak. Hammer waited, then knelt beside them. Mrs. Crowder, he said gently, my name is Rex Davidson. These are my brothers and sisters from motorcycle clubs across Kentucky and beyond. Your son spent today trying to save his sister's life. We decided that kind of courage deserved an answer. So far, we've raised over $78,000 and more is still coming in. Your daughter is going to get her surgery. Jennifer looked up at the stranger, this gray-bearded biker with kind eyes, and couldn't find words. Ethan tugged at her sleeve. Mama, can Lily come outside? I want to tell her we did it. Inside the house, 8-year-old Lily Crowder watched from the window, her pale face pressed against the glass, her weak heart racing with excitement. Her grandmother carried her outside because walking tired her too much. When Lily saw her little brother surrounded by hundreds of bikers, her face lit up like magic. Ethan, she called softly but happily. "You did it." "I'd help," Ethan said shyly, glancing around. "These are the Iron Sentinels and lots of other clubs. They helped me save you. You're going to be okay now." News crews had followed the procession, and cameras captured the moment Lily slowly stepped into the crowd. One by one, tough men and women, people the world often feared, knelt down to shake her hand, to tell her to stay strong, to promise they were cheering for her. The Road King's president, a woman called Valkyrie, who had served 3 tours in Iraq, removed her club necklace and placed it around Lily's neck. "You wear this until you're strong enough to ride," she said gently. "Then you give it back, and I'll take you on your first run." The moment spread across every news outlet and quickly went viral, not just because of the money or the bikers, but because of the image: a tiny girl in an oversized Superman shirt standing in front of hundreds of leather-clad strangers who decided she mattered. By the next morning, donations passed $200,000, enough for Lily's surgery, years of care, and freedom from crushing medical debt. 3 months later, Lily received her heart transplant at Kentucky Children's Hospital. The waiting room was full of bikers. Hammer stayed beside Jennifer and Ethan the entire time. The surgery succeeded. Recovery was long, but the motorcycle community never left, visiting, sending cars, raising funds, making sure the family never had to choose between health and home. Ethan kept the lemonade sign in his room. Some nights, he traced Lily's purple crayon words. He knew the truth. He had been brave enough to start, but it was strangers who showed up and turned an impossible dream into reality. 1 year later, the clubs organized the first annual Lily's Ride. Over 500 motorcycles joined. Lily, now healthy, rode behind Hammer wearing her own small leather vest, patched Honorary Iron Sentinel. A sign now stood at Throttle's Roadhouse, home of Lily's lemonade stand, where miracles begin. The roads closed again. The engines roared again. But this time, Lily waved with strength and understanding, because she was alive due to love, courage, and community. The story became legend in Kentucky, a lesson about hope, about courage, about showing up. And everyone who was there knew this truth. It wasn't just Lily's heart that was saved that day. It was faith in humanity itself.